Welcome to Corley English Microlessons. Today we will cover the phrasal verb pick up. I'm your instructor, George Corley.
大家好，欢迎来到科里英语微课程。今天我们来一起学习一下超高频短语动词 pick up 的用法。我是你们的主讲老师丽丽老师。
The most basic meaning of pick up is simply grab and lift up. For example, Jim picked up a pencil from the floor and drew a horse. Jim picked up a pencil from the floor and drew a horse. Sarah picked up her sandwich and took a bite. Sarah picked up her sandwich and took a bite. Bill dropped the ball and picked it up again. Bill dropped the ball and picked it up again.
这个含义下的一个很常见的引申义为整理、清理、收拾，后面的宾语可以是物品或者是空间、区域等名词。宾语是物品时，通常指的是由好多小的部分组成的，或是非常凌乱的，需要花一定的精力才能整理好的物件。
Here are some examples. Maria picked up her crayons after she was done with drawing. Maria picked up her crayons after she was done with drawing. Bob picked up the corn kernels he had spilled on the dining table. Bob picked up the corn kernels he had spilled on the dining table. Sophie picked up her dirty clothes to go to the laundry. Sophie picked up her dirty clothes to go to the laundry.
除了物品外 pick up 后面还可以跟空间、区域等名词，用来指整理、收拾某个脏乱的地方。比如我们可以说 George picked up the living room before bedtime. 睡前乔治整理了客厅。George picked up the living room before bedtime. 当然，这个含义下 pick up 也可以不带宾语单独使用。例如 Lee picked up in the kitchen after dinner. 晚饭后，丽收拾了一下厨房。Lee picked up in the kitchen after dinner. Nancy picked up after the party. 派对结束后，南希清理了一下狼藉。Nancy picked up after the party.
Another extension of the original meaning is the idea of going to get someone in order to take them somewhere. You can go to pick up a person from some location to take them somewhere else, usually using a vehicle. For example, Susan is going to drive to the airport to pick up Alice tomorrow morning. Susan is going to drive to the airport to pick up Alice tomorrow morning. A helicopter ambulance picked up a patient who fainted at the horse show yesterday. A helicopter ambulance picked up a patient who fainted at the horse show yesterday. Jason asked to be picked up from his house at noon. Jason asked to be picked up from his house at noon.
但当 pick up 后面跟人做宾语时，大家要特别注意一下语境，因为除了上面提到的接载、接送之外，它可能会有其他特殊的含义。比如宾语为人时，它可能指的是以发生性关系或恋爱关系为目的而去搭讪某人，通俗点讲，也就是把妹撩汉。我们来看几个例子。Bill and Mark went to the bar just to pick up girls. 比尔和马克为把妹去了酒吧。Bill and Mark went to the bar just to pick up girls. Taylor picked up a guy at the nightclub for a fun night. 泰勒在夜总会钓到一汉子共度良宵。Taylor picked up a guy at the nightclub for a fun night. He always picks up dudes in the weirdest places. 他总在最怪的地方撩汉。He always picks up dudes in the weirdest places.
You could also hear about police picking up a person, in which case it usually means arrest or take into custody. For example, the suspect had been picked up by police at his home. The suspect had been picked up by police at his home. Federal agents picked him up on suspicion of fraud and theft. Federal agents picked him up on suspicion of fraud and theft. If you are talking about a phone call, pick up means answer. You can think of this as being part of that initial sense, since to answer a phone, you often have to physically pick up the phone. For example, I've been trying to call for an hour, but she won't pick up. I've been trying to call for an hour, but she won't pick up. I'm so glad you picked up the phone. I'm so glad you picked up the phone.
Pick up 也可以用来表示获取、获得。根据具体的语境，可以指购得新物品或认领索回属于自己的物品。例如Lisa picked up some milk at the store after work. 下班后，丽萨在商店买了一些牛奶。Lisa picked up some milk at the store after work. The local tech store fixed his laptop and asked him to pick it up as soon as possible. 当地的科技商店把他的笔记本电脑修好了，让他尽快去取。The local tech store fixed his laptop and asked him to pick it up as soon as possible.
Or you can pick up or learn knowledge or skills through study. For example, Eric picked up the piano very quickly. Eric picked up the piano very quickly. Matthew picked up some Japanese by watching lesson videos online. Matthew picked up some Japanese by watching lesson videos online. So far, these are clearly derived from the original sense. There's another extension that goes a little further to mean perceive, sort of picking up with your senses rather than your hands. For example, Jeff could pick up a faint trail in the dirt. Jeff could pick up a faint trail in the dirt. Abby picked up a strong odor of gasoline in the air. Abby picked up a strong odor of gasoline in the air. There's also a variation on this verb, pick up on, that also tends to mean perceive or notice, or more abstractly, understand. For example, John never picked up on the giant teddy bear in the corner. John never picked up on the giant teddy bear in the corner. It's really hard for Lucy to pick up on vague hints. It's really hard for Lucy to pick up on vague hints. George was always able to pick up on the professor's meaning pretty easily. George was always able to pick up on the professor's meaning pretty easily. We also use pick up when talking about receiving a signal, light, or sound with the help of some kind of technology. For example, the scientists picked up a faint radio signal from space. The scientists picked up a faint radio signal from space. Zoe was able to pick up the planet's light using her telescope. Zoe was able to pick up the planet's light using her telescope. I'm very sorry I didn't reply to you earlier. My phone couldn't pick up any signal in the mountains yesterday. I'm very sorry I didn't reply to you earlier. My phone couldn't pick up any signal in the mountains yesterday. Some people also use pick up to mean call out or point out someone's behavior with the idea of correcting them.
这一含义下最常用的搭配就是 pick someone up on something， 可以翻译成指出某人在某方面的错误，在某个问题上挑某人的错，在某方面纠正某人。
Here are a couple of examples. Ben's mom always picked him up on his bad manners. Ben's mom always picked him up on his bad manners. You don't need to pick me up on every little error all the time. You don't need to pick me up on every little error all the time. We also use it when we talk about resuming something after we had stopped for some period of time.
这个含义下最常用的一个搭配就是 pick up where someone left off。中文可以翻译成从之前停下的地方重新开始，继续做某事。
Let's look at some examples. Let's pick it up where we left off last time. Let's pick it up where we left off last time. Sarah decided she would pick up the script writing tomorrow. Sarah decided she would pick up the script writing tomorrow. Sam picked up the show again after not watching for several months. Sam picked up the show again after not watching for several months.
Pick up 还可以由它的本意抬起引申为改善、好转、增加、变强。这个含义在日常对话中也特别常见。例如，我们可以说 The wind was picking up a bit. 风更强了些。The wind was picking up a bit. Business started to pick up rather quickly. 生意很快的开始好转了。Business started to pick up rather quickly. I hope this chicken soup can help your health pick up. 但愿这鸡汤可以帮您改善健康状况。I hope this chicken soup can help your health pick up.
It can also mean to adopt something that is being done by someone else. For example, David picked up Jeff's technique and adapted it. David picked up Jeff's technique and adapted it. Olivia refuses to pick up any fashion trend and prefers to stick to her own style. Olivia refuses to pick up any fashion trend and prefers to stick to her own style. That's going to be it for this lesson. I hope you have been able to pick up something useful from it.
下节微课我们会继续学习超高频短语动词 pick out 的用法。pick out 和 pick up 会有怎样的语义关联呢？记得锁定我们的频道，跟我们一起来揭晓答案哦。咱们下节课见吧 ，Bye!
Thank you for watching, and see you next lesson. Bye! Support us on Patreon for access to exclusive learning materials. You can follow along with a PDF of our lesson PowerPoint, download high-quality audio files to listen to our lessons on the go, or get access to bilingual transcripts of each lesson. Just go to patreon.com/CorleyEnglish, select your monthly pledge amount, and instantly gain access. Your contribution will help us to keep creating more quality English learning content for you to enjoy. Thank you.